tell us about your journey in music. How did it all begin?
So it all started at a pretty young age for me because I come from a family of artists, singers, actors, uh, like painters. It's been like art's been a part of such an integral part of my family right from the very beginning that I've been always exposed to different genres of music right from the very beginning. Like I've heard my uncle play everything from Led Zepp all onto like Pink Floyd to all the newer stuff. And my parents have played a lot of ghazals to me. A lot of Indian classical music's been coming onto my ears for like a couple of decades now. Like so, I mean, somewhere down in my head, I always knew that music would be something that will always stick around with me,
Mhm.
regardless of what. But right after my 12th grade, I believe, like up until all my schooling times and my college years, I was a part of different cultural activities that used to happen, be it like a singing competition or an elocution competition, or like say arranging like an orchestra for all the school choir. So all of these things were very naturally in me right from the very beginning. So I think a couple of my teachers at school were really observant enough of the fact that maybe studies was one thing I was good at, but it was these extra co-curricular activities that used to bring so much of joy and happiness out of me as a person that my aura completely changed when someone said that, hey, there's a singing competition coming up. Do you want to be a part of this? I would be like, wow, yeah, for sure. Like, there is no two ways that I'm going to go about it. But when it came to like something like, there's a quiz, I used to be like, well, I always knew that I wasn't as sharp as the remaining kids who used to eventually make it to the final round. So I felt like my inclination was always towards music. As I finished my 12th standard, I had to choose between the normal fields, which were like being a doctor, being an engineer. And since I also come from a background full of like PhDs, like my parents are doctorates in pharmacy. My sister's doing like cancer research in America. I come from a family full of art and science. So initially there was like a bit of like an area of gray wherein they weren't really understanding of what I wanted to do, and I wasn't being very communicative about it. Rather, I wasn't being vocal about what I could want to like pursue up in the years in the upcoming years. That led me to start like researching a little bit about audio engineering because my uncle always owned like a really famous studio where I've seen like some top-notch bands to like artists come in and record. And when I used to sit there with him in the studio, it always felt so alien, right? Like because so many knobs, so many encoders, so many microphones. It's very overwhelming, but it's also very intimidating at the same time. So that was something that guided me towards, yes, man, this is interesting. Like, how is this vocal sounding like this when it's post treated? Like, why is this kick drum sounding so different in different kinds of kicks that I'm going through in a sample library? These things really started interesting me, which meant that I had something in me which was directing me towards understanding what soundscapes were. Then they could be used in like a 5.1 situation. It could be used in like a stereo situation. It was these sounds that were like really getting my ears and my brain all moved with what I was experiencing. So that led me to be in the UK. I applied to a course at Alchemia College of Audio Engineering in London, and I completed my diplomas in live and studio sound engineering from there, and I got quite a lot of like good work experience as well while I was a student. And as I graduated, then there were like more freelancing things. So my early phase in back in 2010 when I was a student was I didn't know what I wanted to do because after every completion of a course, I felt like, hey, I would want to be a studio engineer. Then I did like a post production course. I was like, I should be a film mixer. Then I was like, oh, I did a live sound course. I should be a live engineer. It all was like, I can do whatever comes my way then eventually, right? So I moved back to the country, and Coke Studio India was like a pretty popular show on YouTube, and they had quite a lot of fan following. So I was fortunate to like work on it as a monitor engineer at the rehearsal halls of the set. And soon after that, like I think it was that one gig that I was a part of that made me meet so many freelancers, so many musicians, so many singers, that I found my first gig as a full-time front of house engineer. So I've been touring as a front of house engineer and a studio engineer since 2012 now, and I still continue to do a lot of like chief engineer work at festivals, or it could be like mixing, mastering singles, EPs, albums for people. And also now with my independent music that I started releasing since 2018, I feel like it's such an amazing thing to be a part of a project wherein your expertise can come through as creatively and as technically at the same time. Like, the space to express. And the best part about how I go about it is that I consider every song that comes to me as mine. So I never leave 1% saying that, oh, it's not my tune. Why am I giving so many thoughts about, or why am I thinking so much about it? No, but I take everything pretty personally, and that's me. So I would just like consider that product as my own and do the best job I can. So it's been music. It's all this while it's just been music in different ways, and I'm glad that I get this opportunity to like cater to every kind of different thing that even lives in our music field. So I'm absolutely blessed, and I feel great that my parents and my close friends have been so supportive of the fact that I can and I should be doing all I can on every day. I mean, on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, that's how I have been into this for this long, and I continue to be doing what I feel like doing with all the honesty. So yeah.
Wow, you have been very busy clearly, and it's so nice that you've been creative from such a young age
Hmm.
and had that support.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
So, who influences
Yeah.
you in music and why?
So influence is such a used word in today's time, because that's something I feel like you give credit to rather than being aware. Rather, like I think it in a way that I'm aware that every piece of music that I've ever heard has nothing to do with my liking. It is these little sounds, it's the way a certain instrument is treated in the mix, or it's the way it's been produced. Like, simple would be one of my tunes from my EP called Pukar. It sounds like it's a clarinet opening up in the intro, but it's actually me just doing a vocal hum while I was recording the track. And my producer thought that that was a really cool thing that I was doing, and that just sat through processed as a clarinet now. Like, if you hear it clearly, you will know that, oh, it is a vocal, because you can hear the breath come in every bar so heavily. So it's mainly like these little soundscapes. It's never an artist that I actually am so like inclined towards calling it an inspiration. It's bunch of interesting things that I hear on so many different records holistically, that I always see that, oh, I captured something on a track, and then I could use it on my own, in my own way. So it's like reverse engineering pretty much everything. So I think it's the awareness towards these little things that helps me even make my music with the kinds of soundscapes I go for. Or it could also mean that something that came to me for mix, which was sounding a certain way, and I've transformed that for it to sound something completely different. So I think inspiration to me is awareness, is not one person, is not two people. It's everywhere. It's you can draw inspiration from anything and almost everything in life. So it's the way you look at it that really matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally
But
agree with you.
if you wanted to know names of the inspirations,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, it's like it's best for the listeners to kind of like hear the music and tell me that, oh, they think they get a bit of a John Mayer flavor from some of my tunes, or they hear a lot of Mac Miller influence in my tunes, or they hear a lot of A.R. Rahman. At the same time, they would hear someone like some semi-classical artist who, like it's very weird for me to spot these names. It's best for you guys to like hear and reverse engineer it and tell me that, oh, your tracks sound close to this person, or like they sound like they've been inspired by something you heard somewhere. So it's so like all over the place. So it's very hard for me to like put it down in terms of names, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, attention to detail makes so much difference to the overall track, though, and drawing inspiration from many, many people. So, yeah, I see where you're coming from
True,
there.
absolutely.
So, next question. Um,
Hmm.
we checked out your Spotify Wrapped stats from the end of 2021, and you had over 180,000 listeners from 120
Yeah,
countries,
yeah.
which is amazing. So, congratulations. So, how does it feel to
Thank
know that
you.
your music is reaching so many different places all over the world?
That's again an interesting thing to look at. To see, like, we've always heard this people who are really influential, or people who've been doing this for so long. Let's call them best in the business, for example, right? If you ever heard these people talk, it's always that, they're consistently talking about the process. They're never talking about what digits I got or what digits someone else got. So for me, digits or the number of countries and number of people listening to it is just nothing but a blessing. Maybe you've heard these people say that language is never a barrier, right? Like it should never be a barrier. So I think my music and the way my entire team and the team of writers have all been working in hand with each other has has actually translated in such a different way that someone, say like a friend of mine was recently telling me, he owns a hostel kind of a hostel in Goa, right? And there are so many travelers around the world who come there. And once sometime, I think he told me that one of your songs was playing on my daily mix on Spotify. And an Australian guy walks up to him and he's like, hey, what is this? Like, who is this artist? So he gives him a little bit of a backstory in a very third person's perspective. He never tells him that, oh, he's a friend of mine or I know him. He's just like, what do you think about his catalog? And what he had to say was something that brought so much sense into me, because he said that though I can't understand anything that he's trying to say, I can hear him and I can feel him. I think that's the most important thing, that which is why so many countries have probably had listeners who even listen to Hindi music, that not being their primary language, right? Like, so it's a very overwhelming feeling. It's a big blessing, but it only puts this one more excessively important thing in my head and reaffirms it, that it's the process that I have to keep on following, because it's like a tribe that we build. It's not for me. I'm doing this because it's the expression I find to be the easiest. Or like speaking would be another set of expression that I think I can very easily do, as against sitting and typing down answers or sitting and typing down my comments. I will keep on selecting all backspacing. That just is like a loop. But as against when I am in a conversation, it's so much different, right? So I think it's just the way it's been expressed. The music's come out, and I'm just fortunate and glad that it's crazy, right? Like those digits, now that I look at it as digits, they're big, they're great, and
They're
it's a
really
it's a
big.
it's a massive growth
Yeah.
from where my 2021 stats were. But the moment the Spotify app came out, I think it was my report card. You know what I mean? It was my report card. It wasn't supposed to be a report card that should be shown to the world that, hey, listen, I got 90% marks. It's for me to evaluate and understand and learn that if you do not leave this, if you don't give up on the on the fact of how important this process is, this will keep escalating on its own. You're not doing anything. You're just focusing, delivering, and executing. Like, it's literally these couple of things that I wish to continue doing again and again. And then, like, everything else is all the love and blessings I have from all you guys around the world to kind of like make other people also hear my music and like tell them about me. It'll be such a big thing. So it's a report card to myself. It's not for the world to judge, and it's not my purpose of being on someone else's Wrapped and judging them or comparing them, because every piece of music is so special. It's never that some songs are good and some songs are bad. It's the way we perceive them. Some tunes are close to us, as against some will be like, oh, I don't connect with this. I don't find it relatable. So I will just let it go. So I feel like it's just that. It's just that. So big thanks to you guys for like bringing this up about the whole Spotify rap thing. And I was not at all keen on putting it up this year. I didn't put it up last year on my social media again because it's my report card. You know what I mean? Like, it's for me to evaluate this and learn from what I did last year and only do better from here on. So yeah.
I love that. So it gives you motivation to maybe reach more countries.
Yeah, like for all next year, if we have even 121 countries, it's still one more than
Yeah.
last year, right? It's never like digits, right? We just need to be happy that it's just spreading. It just keeps on spreading. So yeah, I'm very very happy to like know that the people around the world are receiving and taking the music and processing it in the way they can. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
So do you have any touring plans for 2022?
If things seem like I mean, if things get better, I definitely see myself being on tour. In fact, that's something I've been waiting on since I decided that I will take up singing and I'll take my independent music career full time with other things that I do. It was always on the side otherwise. So since I started doing that, I've always had this dream of playing all my music live because I feel I am more of um, I'm more in the moment, and these moments come really often when I'm among people. I can never be in the moment in the studio by myself. So I feel there's so much more to express than what I have already on the record. It'll be great for me to kind of like play my upcoming album. Um, I'm releasing like a full length album in a few months now, and we've been like talking about the release dates and whatnot. That's still being worked on, so I haven't like been very vocal about it. So it's not something I want to announce yet as to when that's happening, but it's happening this year, and it's happening anytime soon. And as soon as that happens, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that things will get better around the world, and I will be able to play my music live because there is no better, bigger joy than that, right? So there will be some shows I would definitely do. Fingers
Yeah,
crossed on that.
my
Yeah.
fingers are crossed for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope I do some gigs in the UK where it
Yes.
all began for me, right? Like it's all started there. So it'll be such a great feeling to come back and now play my own music. So
Definitely.
hoping that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next question. So you've had great success on Apple editorial playlists as well. So how does this
Uh-huh.
impact your career?
I mean, it's just gratefulness. I don't know what to say because like I said, the same thing for Spotify is the same for Apple Music. It's my report card. You know, it's for me to evaluate and like just be. I have no. I really don't have any words because I never thought that. Yes, it is a very important part and a very important criterion to look at of how these digital streaming platforms are giving focus and spotlight to some artists that they think are really doing well. So it's a great feeling for me to know that very overwhelming, right? Like when,
Mhm.
because I'm not someone who can take compliments really well. Like I don't know how to react to them. I'm absolutely down to hearing any kind of critical feedback that comes to me with more heart and soul. Like I'll be in a conversation as against someone trying to tell me, "Oh, I like your music. I just don't know what to say after that." It's like, wow, thank you. Like that's the only thing that comes in my head. So it's great to see that Apple Music, Spotify, and all the other platforms are actually helping independent musicians and independent music come out in the commercial markets on the same platform as all the other big releases. A lot of times you find your music in between some tracks and you see names like Justin Bieber, or you see a name like Lady Gaga somewhere and your track is in between that. That's a feeling again that just drives me harder than for my next one. It's like, this isn't it. This is a step. You've got to take one more and then one more, and you don't know until when. But at the end of when I take that last little step, that I am going to be still doing my music full time and doing these things with it, I wouldn't want that drive to go down.
Mhm.
Numbers can go down, listeners can go down, fans can go down, but my urge to express and my urge to be vocal about what I'm going through via my music is something I would be dying to do every day. But just because maybe my digits didn't come nice, or like maybe someone, like, say, let's call it the universe did not validate it, would not be the reason why I will stop doing what I'm doing. In fact, it'll drive me harder that this is more purpose driven from my end, and it has no it has no motives in my head that why am I doing this, or what's going to come out of what I'm doing. So I have just like massive thanks in my head that come when I hear platforms so big promoting independent music. And it's just not for me. I feel great for the whole entire scene, right? Because there's so many other people who are also being heard, and now people know how independent music was always, at least in India, I can say this, that it was always under the blanket, right? It existed, but it had a cult following. But now when you hear an independent music, I mean a piece of independent music being used in a very commercial way, like say like the sync opportunities that even Anara creates for their roster, or say other sync companies doing that for their roasters. You know, it's it's expression being utilized to express something else visually in a better way. So I think that's a way bigger thing to look at, uh, more holistically for the entire scene. I'm very happy, honestly, for what I've been getting. I'm very happy, but on a bigger scale, I'm very happy for how many others are also being, like, being what do we say, like, given the spotlight or given the focus. So that's a way bigger thing to look at for me than just what I'm gaining out of this. And I'm that kind of a person who would probably be okay with me not succeeding, but someone around me who I thought should be doing two extra things, and I'm able to bring about that change just by talking to them or expressing, is absolute biggest victory for me. It's the biggest award I can get, like seeing someone else being more successful or chasing their dreams harder. It just
Mhm.
drives me more towards going to my goals sooner. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
So we've touched on this a little bit already, but what should we expect from you over the next year? Any new releases?
There's a lot happening in this coming year. There's so much I've been waiting to, like, I've always had this thing in my head that whatever I do, whatever I'm a part of, has to be done properly, which means you leave no page unturned. Every page has got to be explored, and it all takes time. We all know that. It's such a slow process, but it's beautiful because you can see through from day one to day last when you release that piece of music, where is it now? The evolution of just a simple recording to for it. I mean, a voice note on your phone. From there to it being on all the major digital streaming platforms is such a big process. So there's a lot of collaborations I'm a part of, luckily, this year. My Bollywood debut happens this year.
Wow.
I've sung two songs on a Bollywood film that's supposed to release in the month of March this year. So that's happening. That's opened up great doors for me, that I am also taking up independent music. Simultaneously, I'm also taking up my playback opportunities. But I will always still be like, no matter where I go with my playback career, I'm not stopping doing my independent music, because that's what makes me me.
Hmm.
It's like Snoop Dogg once said, "You can only be you. Nobody else can be you but you." And it's such a great quote if you look at it. That if if you've I mean, only you can execute something the way you execute it.
Hmm.
Someone can
Yeah.
help you get to it, but if you can't do it, or if you don't do it, nothing will happen, right? Like, so there's singles, there's my album coming out. I don't know whether we should be talking about that yet. Debs will be the best person to be, uh, like, to get into the chain of people, uh, to say that, yeah, we can talk about this. I'm not very sure whether we are even announcing that, because it's the most special project of my life. Like,
Oh, wow.
I don't think I've ever been so pleased and so satisfied with what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. So I think this year is going to be actually more fun than last year, and I hope every year after that turns out to be the same. That I end up chasing new things. I end up having the same drive, if not more, at least the same. Nothing less than yesterday. So I hope I continue to do that, and there'll be a lot of collaborations, playback songs, and then like my independent releases. I'm never going to leave my listeners wondering when's the next one coming. You know, they'll have plenty coming their way in the coming months and like few years at least, I would say.
Wow, it's really exciting, and it seems like you've got so much planned. So I can't wait to follow your journey
Yeah.
and see what's coming up.
That's very nice of you, and I hope like this whole thing, um, with the virus and everything, gets better out there, and people can actually, like, meet, and like, can actually interact person to person, and I get to play shows live. Like, that's something I'm dying to actually get to. Like, my hands and my voice itches sometimes. I'm like, when am I going on stage? Like, so yeah, I hope this year and the years coming ahead are all great and amazing for each one of us, not just me. I hope they're all great for everyone.
So, who would
Yeah.
be your dream person to collaborate with and why?
I've been actually like, I've had this little thing in my head, that's only been that one thing, that at one point, it's it's nothing short of a dream, I would say, but something I look forward to doing, or rather, I hope it happens someday. And I'm only going to say it once, because I think I'm going to put it out in the universe and let it happen if it has to happen, and not chase it. But I would love to sing for A.R. Rahman, sir. Like, that's the pinnacle for me. Like, what I'm looking up to is just being honest, being keep on doing my things the best way, and keep on expressing with all my honesty without holding back. But I can't think of people in names, but I'm down to like exploring that side of minds, how two minds can be in the same room and make something happen, make something so beautiful that nobody ever expected. But the one person that I wish to sing for is nobody else but A.R. Rahman, sir, because I've grown up listening to his music, and he's such a big inspiration for people across the globe. And his music always has had some kind of effect on my headspace, and it's very powerful. Like, it's the dynamic changes he brings in his music, and the way the compositions are expressed, and the way, like, even the lyrics are always in link and in sync with the music. It's never like some random music's playing at the back and like some weird words are sitting on top of the music for it to be a catchy tune. It's like always so meaningful. So that's been my big dream, that I hope and I wish that I get to even sing in front of him. But I will keep on working harder every day and hope that one day he hears something I've made or like something I've sung, and that will lead for me to actually sing for him. So that's one big thing I would always be waiting on. And yeah, I mean, that's not the ultimate thing for me, right? Like, it should never be. But it's not that I'm working towards my goals for me to get there. It's like I want to keep doing this, but at the same time be very hopeful and be open about the fact that maybe there will be a day where he will probably get a chance and he will hear my music from somewhere. Is the big ray of hope I have. So if it happens, it happens, and it will be an amazing thing that I have manifested. But if it doesn't happen, I should only be trying harder from my end the next time, you know? And
I
it
hope
will
it
go somewhere.
happens.
It can't
Yeah.
just like not go in one place, right? Like when you start manifesting, when you know what thought manifestation can be all about, I think that's where the real game. It's awareness. It's just awareness, all about that. So yeah, I'm hoping, and there'll be like hopefully a lot of other collaborators who I would probably get a chance to work with. But yeah, I mean, I'm down to like exploring that other side of mine, which is creation with the most, like, zero information and zero sense of what's going to happen later on, you know?
So
So
I've
yeah.
just got two more questions for you. So
Wow.
it's gone really quick. It's nearly been 40 minutes. It's mad. Um, so why
It's
did
just
you
been
look
14 minutes. Is that what you say?
40?
Or 40? I was
Yeah.
like 14. That was super quick.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So why did you look for a publisher and why did you ultimately choose Anara?
Um, I've experienced this quite a lot in my life, okay? And I'd be very honest about it. There are some people and some companies, rather there are these people who make this company, right? So let's call, there are some people who are always known to be believing in you more than you ever can in yourself, you know? Every single time I've interacted with anybody at Horus Music, for example, right? Because I've been distributing my music with them since my second release. Um, every now and then I've never heard them say something like, "Hey, listen, this can't be done," or "It doesn't work this way." I've always heard this little thing. Yeah, that's interesting. We've never actually done that before. Can we try doing it this time? It's this approach towards being so open, yet so uh, understanding that creating music or making music, let's call it, is is not. I mean, it's a complicated process. It's all got to do with, right from, like, if you go to the source, it's where your head's at today. Like, if I had to sit and write a song today and I'm not in a very good headspace, isn't it obvious that I will end up writing about what I am going through at that point? Maybe that's not something I even want to express. But so much so has to do with the source of everything. So, um, talking about like what 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 made me choose Anara Publishing was that I'll be dead honest with you. I had zero other people I was considering. I got to know about Sync and Publishing quite in depth about like 2 years ago when I was casually chit-chatting with a friend of mine. And he's like, "Have you heard of Sync?" I was like, "I've heard of Sync, but I have no idea what publishing is all about." So I had a brief chat with him, and it was all like rocket science. It felt like rocket science to me back then. That what is this? And yeah, no, I think I'm just gonna focus on my music and like just I don't want to take this up because it's complicated. But as I had that first chat with Debs, and she gave me an insight about a lot of things, it just made things so clear for me that I wasn't considering what deal I'm getting. I wasn't considering what kind of deals have other people gotten. I just saw one thing, that I need help and someone saying that they would love to help me out, that's what I would want to go for. It's not some multi-millionaire company like earning millions of dollars every year that can and always will work for you. I feel that the trust and the belief that the company has been showing in my work, and the way they, like, tell me that, yeah, your music's being heard by so many people, like, that's the kind of relationship, and that's the kind of like family that I think I'm blessed to have. So I wasn't looking at any other company. I was taken care of so well by Debs and the entire team at Anara always, that I never felt like one question I had was never going to be answered properly. Even if there have been things where probably Debs also needed some more time to give me better like clarity over the whole situation. She's really been very honest and been telling me that, hey, listen, probably I will take a little while to answer back. But whenever I do, I've never had like some ridiculous things coming my way. She's always been so understanding of the fact that I'm doing so many different things that even if I am, say, like running short of like taking that stride and talking to my collaborator at some point, which I'm supposed to do and I don't end up doing, I've never heard like, hey, you were supposed to do this. Why didn't you do it? It's always been so like communicative and so fluid that I end up saying, I'm sorry I couldn't do it. It's never that I would want to lie about it. It's just what it is. I've not been able to do it. And she'll be like, yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It's a creative process. It only happens when it can happen. You can't sit and manufacture it every single time because you're not a computer to do that. So the way they've been giving me like insights about what we can do with things that are not released, for example. Like, how can these also be in line for sync, or these can actually be registered having our own ISRC codes? We can do so many different things, but publishing is such an important key tool for an independent artist because, as the name independent artist says, you're independent. You are supposed to take those calls. There isn't someone else who's taking those calls for you or making you do certain things. So it's the best form of expression, right? Because you can say what you want to say the way you want to say it. And when a company does the same, I think that's the best fit for someone like me who likes to talk and who likes to express all there is in my head. It's literally like there's just one connection that goes from here to here. There's nothing in between stopping that. So I will shell out all the ideas possible. Maybe they'll be very like naive and maybe they might not even make sense. But I feel a company like Anara Publishing, the way they have been supporting artists, and not just me again, it's for the entire community of the artists they think have that little niche or like have that USP of being something different. They're always chasing the different or the unique, let's call it. So no two other companies that I have ever been approached by. Anara was the first one who, like, from where I got a mail that they'd be interested in working with me, and I think I would only be a fool if I wouldn't have been here right now. So I'm absolutely satisfied, happy, say all the good things in the world I can about the company. So, yep.
That's really
I'm
amazing
extremely
to
sorry
hear.
if my answers have been really long.
No,
Is
it's
how
fine.
I mean, yeah, right. Like, I
It's
hope
nice to
that
get
didn't bug
insight.
you up. That this guy is talking so much.
No, not at all. It's amazing to hear your answers, and yeah, the fact that you love the company so much and that it feels like family to you is incredible.
Yeah,
So I only
yeah,
actually have one more question for you, and
sure.
my final question is,
Yeah.
what advice would you give for up and coming songwriters and composers?
Wow. I never thought I would be in this position to be giving advices to people ever. But since the question comes through, I mean, I can just say that to every other person. It's not even someone who's upcoming, because in my opinion, nobody is like just upcoming, a mature-ish or pro. Like everyone's so equal. Like I always keep saying this, nobody is more superior than me, and nobody is extremely inferior to me either. Like that dynamic, I understand it lies in the society, but the way I think is equal. So um it's always just been being absolutely honest to yourself. If you can't be honest to yourself, you can never ever ever be honest to anything else or anybody else. So, honesty towards expression, not holding yourself back from expressing what you think is the right thing because you are independent, and understanding that just making music is not the only way to earn money. And you don't make music to earn money. You make music because you've been blessed to have that opportunity from the universe to express these feelings. You are the what do we say? It's that one source of energy that is amplifying things again and again. It is not at all based on who you are, what you do, what you've done in the past. No, it's about what you can do, you know. So it would only be focus, trust, drive, determination, and honesty right at the top. It's the first and most foremost thing that I would want anybody who's like reading up about this to know, that nothing comes through without that. You can feel bad about a song not going to those digits, but I wouldn't like it if someone felt bad that, oh, like it didn't go to those digits, but the song is so good. Why didn't people like my song? No, it's just that it didn't go to the right people. But when it does, it's a piece of music that's going to be available for the next 99 years on your contract. So when you know it's going to be there for 99 years, don't be so desperate about, I want to go up right like this, right? Even like a rocket, right, that takes a space shuttle out of the Earth's orbit, reaches a point called max Q, which is like maximum dynamic pressure that it exerts. It's based on the vehicle's build, whether it goes out of stratosphere or it tumbles down. So I feel all these little elements are that ship for you. You have to make sure that they're holding each other really strong for that one day of breakthrough to come out, and you're out of it. The next thing you look down upon, you're looking at the earth, you know. So it would be something like that is what I would, it won't even advise, but is my opinion, that I would say very loudly that you have to be prepared for that big day, because you don't know when it is going to come. You can never procrastinate things. You have to get on things, because 24 hours to everyone. My 24 hours are nothing different than your 24 hours or anybody else's 24 hours. But respecting that you got those 24 hours and someone else did not is what I will be like. I would feel really unhappy and unsatisfied if I did not make most of my 24 hours, because I don't know what's tomorrow, which means I would do everything in my capacity to make sure something came in my head. If it's in my capacity to execute it, I'm going to not let it go on to tomorrow. So it's right now, it's today, it's happening. We can't be, sitting here waiting for things to happen. You have to move in that direction. Till you don't, nothing works out. Nothing happens. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you so much for taking the time to answer those
Cheers.
questions. It's been really nice to meet you and chat to you.